Students, I welcome you all to this video lesson, Montreal Protocol. This is D. Rajashekar, lecturer in botany, Katta Ramakoteswara Government Degree College, Addanki. Students, you might have learned about this Montreal Protocol in your regular classes, but by this video I want to give you extra information about this concept. It is very important even for entrance examinations. If you have observed these days, in almost all entrance examinations, environmental problems are very much considered. So many bits have been covered on these topics, especially Montreal Protocol. As you all know, Montreal Protocol is an international treaty designed in Montreal, Canada. The main intention or objective of this Montreal Protocol is to protect the earth from ultraviolet rays which are being filtered by ozone layer. Because of the continuous liberation of ozone depleting substances by the mankind, the ozone and the protective layer of harmful rays is being depleted. So it is our duty to control the release of ozone depleting substances, thereby to ensure the healing of ozone layer. It is a successful environmental agreement in the entire history of United Nations that control the production of and consumption of around 100 man-made chemicals which are popularly known as ozone depleting substances. Actually, this agreement was made on 16th September 1987. That is why we celebrate International Ozone Day on this very day. But it came into the effect from 1st January 1989. It was first Frank Sherwood Rowland and Mario Molina, the two American chemists, studied the impacts of chlorofluorocarbons in 1970. The same type of work was done by Paul J. Crutzen, who discovered the effect of nitric oxide on the ozone layer. In 1976, the US National Academy of Sciences confirmed the credibility of ozone depletion hypothesis. In 1985, British Antarctica Survey scientists discovered and published low ozone levels above Hawley Bay near South Pole. It was confirmed by NASA scientists. Thus, the Vienna meeting was conducted to get international cooperation in research for the protection of ozone layer, and later it empowered United Nations Environment Protection UNEP to lay the groundwork for the Montreal Protocol. It took 14 years from the identification of the problem, that is ozone depletion, to the international agreement signed, that is 1973 to 1987. For the great work done by the scientists on this ozone depletion, all those scientists were incurred with the Nobel Prize in 1995 for their outstanding contribution towards the global environmental issue. In the beginning, only 46 nations understood the problem, so that they got their nod to sign on the treaty. Presently, it has reached to 200 nations. So far, this Montreal Protocol has been revised 9 times at different places to make amendments. To assist the developing country parties whose annual per capita consumption production of ozone depleting substance is less than 0.3 kilograms. So all the developed nations are helping these developing countries to combat this problem by raising a multilateral fund. This fund is managed by an executive committee of 5 countries which are elected annually by a meeting of the parties. Thus, the developed nations are helping out developing nations in controlling these ozone depleting substance release. The main objective of the protocol is phasing out the ozone depleting substances. All are man related. These are all being liberated from the household gadgets like refrigerators, air conditioners, other aerosols, cosmetics, even from sprays. As I have just told to you, there is a difference between the developed nations and developing nations in phasing out of ozone depleting substances. The main difference is generally developing nations are comparatively they are releasing less amounts of ODS than the developed nations. So to pacify the gap, to bridge the gap, developed nations are giving funds for helping developing nations. Thus, by the mutual support of both developed as well as developing nations, sincere efforts of all the world nations, the ODS phase out process was completed in 2005 by developed nations and in 2015 by developing nations. The phase out of halochlorofluorocarbons is scheduled to be completed by 2030 by the developed nations and 2040 by developing nations. Thus, we can see dissimilarity between the end dates or end years for completing the task. As developed nations are contributing to the ozone depletion a lot and they are economically rich, the deadline is a little earlier than that of the developing nations. Comparatively, these developing nations are releasing less amounts than that of the developed nations, and moreover they are lack of funds. So that is why the deadline is extended to the developed nations by 10 years almost. Conclusion. What we have discussed in this video, actually we have learned what is Montreal Protocol, what was the purpose of making this protocol, the success saga of this Montreal Protocol, how ozone depleting substances have been controlled to save the ozone layer, and the scientists' contributions and the history of ozone depletion, all that. Hope you have better understood. In conclusion, I would like to reveal the important facts once again. By controlling the production of ozone depleting substances, the ozone hole is being healed on its way. A statistical analysis from 2010 showed a clear positive sign from the Montreal Protocol to the stratospheric ozone. The healing of ozone hole could prevent health hazards. The Montreal Protocol is successfully meeting its objectives like protecting ozone layer from depletion and saving mankind from the harmful effects of ultraviolet rays. At the end of this video lecture, I would like to recall one important fact. You all know that ozone depleting substances are being released by the mankind who are residing on the earth more or less around the equator region. When these ozone depleting substances are being released from the equator region, why the hole was formed in the Antarctica region, the polar region? The main cause for this ozone hole formation near the Antarctica region is attributed to the Coriolis effect and also to the earth rotation. These ozone depleting substances are taken to these polar regions by winds where the temperatures are very low. That is why these ODS become so active over there. They are very much stable. They cannot be dissolved in the wind. They cannot be broken down easily in the lower environment. On reaching the stratosphere, these ozone depleting substances are broken down by the ultraviolet rays and form bromine atoms and chlorine atoms. These bromine and chlorine atoms act on ozone layer so that they are making association with the nascent oxygen molecule so that the ozone layer is thinning. That is why the ozone hole was formed in the Antarctica region, not near the equator region. So I hope you have understood this video so well. Thank you very much for being so patient. Soon I will meet you all with another video lecture. Till then, bye. Have a nice time.